What's going on YouTube? How you all doing? Hope everyone is feeling good. So, it's been a long time. So obviously you see that I've dropped the video, which is kind of a new thing that I'm kind of trying out. So the whole point of House of Thought was really a channel to be able to express or talk about thought-provoking subjects. I know initially it started being more of a motivational page, but at that time when I set it up, I felt that was what I needed in order to kind of go forward at that time. I mean, long story short, I just come out with a long relationship and so on. So if you know, I was trying to really kind of center myself again. It's interesting because, a lot of people go in and out of a relationship, but no one really talks about how to deal with it or how to cope when coming out of a long relationship and trying to pretty much pick yourself back up again. So, like I say, I kind of use that video or those videos in order to kind of for a way for me to express, although actually I'd say just keep myself motivated. From a male's point of view, when you have kind of tough situations, especially when it comes to relationships, there's not many people that you can talk to. I mean, you've got your friends there, but as males, it's very hard to kind of express your feelings to another male friend. So I think this is all kind of leads on to the fact of why I've kind of taken the channel on a different route or a different kind of direction. It's been so long, it's been like 4 years since I've done a video. And in that 4 years, I've set my own business, working with young kids, mentoring, and really trying to support them and show them a different way of living. So in that time where I've kind of set this whole thing up, I've realized that, working with young individuals, and when you're talking about relationships, it's no different from when you was a teenager to when you're in your 20s to your 30s to your 50s and so on. I feel anyways, and I've talked to a range of people. And when I say no different in terms of how to deal with relationships, and I feel that males and females, no matter how old we are, we still lack this kind of effective communication with each other. So, where one person might be thinking one thing, the other person is thinking another thing. But more importantly, I think the biggest thing with that is the fact that, when you think of two people in a relationship, both of these people have lived total different lives, right? So when they come to meeting each other, it's weird because, obviously they've got to try and get to know each other. But at the same time, I think a lot of people kind of overlook the fact that they're two different people. So, I'm sure we all try as best as we can to try and bond with the person that we're trying to work with. When it comes to relationships, I think, they don't really last that long, especially in these modern days, right? They don't really last that long, 6 months to a year, sometimes 2 years. But I've always asked myself, why doesn't that, why is that? What's the reason? So when I've done my researching, and I'm a heavy researcher, guys, trust me, I research hard. I'm an inquisitive individual. But when I've done my researching in terms of asking myself why, I've realized that, we're very much quick to get into relationships and get into some sort of situationship without really understanding who the other person is. So for example, if I was to get into a relationship, or let's say I've gone into previous relationships, and I haven't really thought about the female in terms of what she may have gone through. Yeah, she may have told me a story or certain situations or things that she had been through, but it doesn't really mean that I've actually fully taken it and understood it. So I think that goes both ways when it comes to male and females, where we kind of, I think it's it's unconscious, because I don't think no one wakes up in the morning and says, yeah, do you know what, I just want to kind of dismiss the other person and what they've been through. But I think because we're very much so much into ourselves, we can kind of overlook what other people have been through. And then that leads on to the fact that when we don't see what other people have been through, they may act in certain ways that might be kind of strange to us or upsetting to us, and then we kind of look at them in a negative way, which obviously is understandable, but we don't really understand the root of why they're doing that. I hope I'm kind of making sense in the fact that I'm trying to really make this page as it is House of Thought, which is a page that, a channel that we can just ask thought-provoking questions. I think the greatest thing, one thing about me is I always ask questions. I've always asked questions from when I was younger. You know, ask my mum, she will know I've plagued her with mad amount of questions. But I think that's the only way you can understand your environment and understand how to move forward. So on this page, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to be asking loads of questions. As you can see with the original video, well, the last video that I just dropped, the main question was, is life more stressful for males and females? And we'll get into that in a second, but to the point of, I really want to try and make this page a page where we can, I will ask a lot of questions that generally come to mind and try and answer them with my own perspective, but at the same time go out on the streets of London, where I'm from, or England, you could say, and ask people said questions. Because, you know, what's amazing is that we live in this big world and we all have different perspectives. And I think I've always thought it's very interesting to find people's perspectives. And with all of these questions, there is no right or wrong answer. There's only your perspective. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it, because, you know, you may see something in one way and then I may see something in a different way. It don't mean either of us are right or wrong. It's just our perspective. But anyways, hope that's made sense. And I really want to try and get into the last video we just dropped, which is talking about, is life more stressful for males or females? So when we looked at the video, what I found which was surprising, when asking that question to females, and not only females, males as well, just the general public, I found it quite interesting that I thought when asking certain females, they would immediately say it was stressful for females. I don't know why I thought that. Obviously, I just thought, well, because they're females, they will probably view it in that way. But I was very much surprised at the responses. I wish we could have asked more people, but it was kind of a random thing on the spot. But for the people that we did ask, I think it was 2 females, 1 guy, and both females, no, 3 females, I think actually, and 1 guy. And the 3 females, you know, said in their mind, they felt it was more stressful for males. And I was very surprised because, you know, I very much agree with what they were saying. And, you know, the points that they individually made was really interesting. So say, for example, the first girl explained the fact that for men, it's hard for them to, you know, they're always trying to keep up with everybody else. You know, they've got so much more that's expected from them. You know, whether it's trying to wear the latest clothes or just keep up with the latest trends. And, you know, at that point in a man's mind, they know that that's what they've got to do to be desirable to the opposite sex. So it is a lot of pressure. And I was really surprised that she pointed that out. But there's not really a but. I don't even know why I say but. I always just say but and things, but and there ain't no buts, right? But, you know, to piggyback off on that, I do agree with most of the comments. But then there was the one guy who said that he thought that, and guys, definitely watch the video. Obviously, tell me what you think about it. But there was one guy who did say that he thought it was more stressful for females, because I think he said something that, you know, they have to do so much more. They work a lot more and they work much harder. And, you know, again, there's no right or wrong answer, but I did think that the points that he made, I do think that in terms of just working much more harder, it depends in what context, because I do believe that both male and female have a heavy load to deal with in life as it is. But I think that, you know, when it comes to females, okay, let me make my first point. Let me just jump into it. So when it comes to male and females, I think for a female, when growing up, I know, of course, it's more different in these modern days, but when growing up, females generally have to just think about fending for themselves, right? And then in the hope that they meet a guy, and if they don't meet a guy, then they're all right. They can, look after themselves, being independent. Or if they do meet a guy, then that's a bonus, right? But for a guy, I think it's very different because he needs to make sure that when he is moving forward, he has thought about being able to provide for his immediate family, which may be his mom and so on. Maybe that's the same for the females, but he has to provide for his future family, and that's, although it may be a kind of old school mentality or old school way of thinking, it's still very much real today. So I think that is one of the kind of main, I wouldn't say it's one of the main reasons, it's just one of, there's many reasons, but it's just one of the reasons why I would argue that it's much more stressful for males. But then obviously if you're talking about single mothers and so on, then that is a different kind of stress. And I do agree that that is definitely much more stressful than a male's life, because when you're talking about a single mother, you're dealing with another life. So I totally agree with if it was in that context. But anyways, I got a few points that I wanted to go and raise in terms of why I thought that it was more stressful for males. And not a huge amount, I would almost say, but I would still say it is more stressful. And it could be just because I'm a male, or it depends. You just let me know how what you think about it. So what I would say first point of why it would be more stressful, why I feel that life is much more stressful for males than females, is the fact that there isn't much support or acknowledgement for men's mental health, whether it be them talking about their emotions, expressing their emotions, or just trying to just get support in terms of the day-to-day things they have to go through or they have to endure. So I think it's very much more a kind of just put up and shut up kind of attitude, which, what I will say, men don't really complain about that. When I was much younger, I always kind of thought about this. I always knew from being a young boy, I thought, hold on, I'm going to have to be a man, and there's going to have to be all of these kind of things that I'm going to have to do. That I won't lie to you, it scared the out of me. Do you know what I'm saying? It literally scared me. So as I've grown older, obviously, that kind of washes off on you. But at the same time, it's still a point where I was a young kid and I already knew what a lot of the things that I would have to meet up to in order to kind of survive. So when it comes to the point of men don't really talk, I think I said it earlier, the fact that men don't talk, we don't really, we may go through a situation. It's more about a laugh and a giggle with the boys, and the good times. And, not always, and don't get me wrong, it's not like, when you go to your friend and then it's like, oh no, don't talk to me about it. It's just, I think it's almost just an unspoken kind of thing where guys they're not as open to their friends as they would be to, say, their girlfriend. And I think that kind of almost leans onto why it's very important for male and females to be, working in partnership, because we very much need each other. But I'm going to go into that a bit more with a couple more videos and a lot of the questions, which my main point of everything that I'm doing is to try and just remind everyone that we actually need each other. There's a lot of things going on where everyone is talking about, everyone has an opinion, and the opinions, I believe, are not really bringing us together. They're not keeping families together, they're not keeping relationships together. So I'm kind of more about trying to keep people together, rambling again. But anyways, going to that point, so I did say about the mental well-being of males. I do feel that because they don't talk, it's not really spoken about. I don't think even in the media, we don't really have that acknowledgement. I mean, I would say it's much better now than before, but even still at the point of where it is, there's not that much. So with mental well-being, I feel that, hopefully it can get better. And of course, it's going to be also down to us men to kind of take the initiative to really open up to each other. But again, that's going to take a little bit longer. This is why, I do believe the suicide rate being so high in males is because of this fact of the fact that the mental well-being or the mental health with males is so bad that, I mean, I think it's crazy still, but that men will rather kill themselves than have to kind of deal with it. It doesn't really matter what the reason is. It's that they felt that they had to use that way out rather than feeling that they had a different avenue or some sort of help. It's a tough time for everyone, but I think it's also, despite how tough the time is, we still have to be considerate about what we are all going through and try and support each other. So anyways, on to the next one. The pressure for men to prove their manhood. I mean, that is a big one. I think with men, as they always say, it's always a size competition with men. And I think it gets added on with society, and I've even had it in relationships where a female will go, oh, just man up and man up. And I mean, I don't even know what does man up mean, because I've never told a female to woman up, So when you're saying words like man up and be a man and all of these kind of things, it really does, obviously I don't feel that females do this on purpose, trying to kind of it sometimes can feel like a bit of a bullying kind of situation, but that doesn't help, because that just adds to much more pressure. A man today, modern man today, deals with so much pressure. There's so many layers of the pressure he has to deal with that, when he has to deal with an additional pressure from the person who he feels is supposed to be his kind of safe haven, then it almost comes like, where does he have to turn to? I think we just need to be a bit more empathetic of what we have to go through. And even men, your own self, be more empathetic. It's all right to be like, what, it's tough. I'm still learning that myself, learning that how to deal with tough situations without having to just ghost everybody. That just tends to be what I do. And I'm a professional person. I work with young kids, this is me. But there's still times where it really just gets on top. A female was always a good avenue to be able to express that, because maybe it's me and maybe I'm a bit old school, but I've always thought a female, they're much more emotional, so they will be always it's a better place to be able to kind of lay my worries. So, like I say, the pressure for men to be the pressure on men to be a man, because I don't even know if anyone even understands what it is to be a man. And that's another thing that we're going to go and try and discover and discuss and investigate. What is it to be? What does it even mean to be a man? What does this man, what is his qualities? What is his traits? What are his flaws? It just seems that everyone has their opinion, and yeah, so that's my second point, just the fact of this whole man up situation. That is a huge pressure on not just men, but young boys as well. And lastly, I think I touched on it previously, just the fact that the pressure to have to create wealth for not only themselves, their immediate family, mum, sisters and so on, but then their future family. That's like three goals, three achievements that a man must have to kind of work towards. And that is tough. As you can see, a lot of men are failing at that. A lot of men are failing, they're even failing on trying to create wealth for themselves. And, there's many reasons as to why that is. But one main thing is, I would say, it's the pressure, the lack of support, and more importantly, the lack of direction sometimes. Before social media, with all the benefits that social media has brought, I do think relationships and interactions between male and female were at a better standing than they are now. I feel it's just kind of gone a little bit south, and it's almost like they're just two sides. One side has got an opinion and a grievance, and the other side also, sorry, this microphone thing's a madness. But anyways, the other side has got a grievance, or both sides have got a grievance. And I'm just like, well, there's only male and female, so we got to do this dance regardless. So especially me working with young kids, I'm trying to make sure that at least through this page, I can kind of use it as a platform to be able to kind of give some direction and ask some honest and thought-provoking questions about the way we conduct ourselves, males, females. But I hope you lot kind of has understood what I'm saying. I hope it's kind of made sense, and definitely going to be coming through with much more questions. Going to do some more videos, but I'm trying to mix a lot of things in. I do a lot of stuff working with young people. I'm in my 30s, and at this point, I still look at the younger generation and think, who is really guiding them? You know, I mean, we're all very busy out here trying to get it, totally get it. You know, times are hard, but at the same time, the young people are still the future. So definitely hope that you guys can appreciate where we're going with this channel. And, you know, it's been a long while, but I'm going to try and make sure I'm trying to be consistent. Like I say, there's a lot of questions, and I hope that some of these points that have been made, you know, you guys can kind of have some sort of conversation in the sections and so on. You know, I'm sure that'll build in time. But yeah, hope you're not feeling that. And yeah, just have a think about all of these things. And we catch up soon. All right, peace.